Imagine waking up 5 years from today. The economy has finally recovered from another major financial collapse. Businesses are growing again. Markets are reaching new highs. You check your investment account and realize your wealth has doubled. Not because you guessed the future. Not because you found a miracle investment. But because while everyone else was panicking, you quietly bought the right assets.
Sell now.
Now
It's
imagine
crashing.
the opposite.
Get
You
rid of
waited.
it.
You held onto cash. You listened to every frightening headline. And 5 years later, inflation has quietly reduced your purchasing power while opportunities passed you by. History teaches us one lesson again and again. Economic collapses don't destroy wealth. They transfer it. Every crisis creates two groups of people, those who panic and those who prepare. In this video, I'll show you 15 assets that have repeatedly helped ordinary investors build wealth during some of history's toughest economic periods. Stay until the end, because the final asset isn't something you buy. It's something that determines whether the other 14 succeed. If you're over 30, 40, 50, or planning for retirement, the next few years could become the most important financial window of your life. Inflation is changing the value of money. Technology is changing jobs. Interest rates are changing how people invest. The financial rules that worked 20 years ago are no longer enough. The biggest mistake you can make is believing that earning more money alone will make you wealthy. Income pays your bills. Assets build your future. That's the difference wealthy people understand. When uncertainty arrives, they don't ask, "How much money do I make?" They ask, "What do I own?" Let's first understand why that mindset matters. Mindset shift. Most people see an economic collapse as something to fear. Successful investors often see it as something to prepare for. That doesn't mean recessions are easy. People lose jobs. Businesses close. Markets fall. But history also shows that every major recovery begins while fear is still everywhere. Think about the investors who bought quality assets after 2008, or during the market crash of 2020. At the time, those decisions felt uncomfortable. Years later, they looked brilliant. That's because wealth isn't usually created when everything feels safe. It's created when quality assets become temporarily undervalued. Economic collapses don't eliminate wealth. They simply move assets from impatient people to patient people. The goal isn't to predict every crisis. The goal is to own assets that continue creating value before the recovery begins. The next 15 assets have done exactly that throughout history. Let's start with the first one. Productive farmland. People stop buying luxury goods during recessions. They delay vacations. They postpone buying new cars. But they never stop eating. That's why productive farmland has remained one of the world's strongest long-term assets. The global population continues growing, while quality farmland becomes increasingly limited. That combination naturally increases its long-term value. Many billionaire investors have quietly invested in farmland because it provides two important benefits. It can generate income through agricultural production while also appreciating over time. Today, investors don't need to buy hundreds of acres to gain exposure. Agricultural investment funds and farmland platforms have made this asset far more accessible. The lesson is simple. Own assets that produce something society will always need, because necessities survive every economic cycle. But while farmland produces food, the next
agricultural
asset protects
investment
purchasing
funds
power
and
itself.
farmland platform.
Asset number 2, physical gold. For thousands of years, currencies have changed. Empires have disappeared. Financial systems have collapsed. Yet gold has continued holding value. That's why investors view it as financial insurance rather than a get-rich investment. When inflation rises or confidence in paper currencies falls, gold has historically helped preserve purchasing power. Even today, central banks around the world continue increasing their gold reserves. That alone should tell you something. Gold won't generate monthly income. It won't pay dividends. Its purpose is different. It protects part of your wealth during periods of uncertainty. A balanced portfolio isn't built only for growth. It's also built for protection, because protecting what you've earned is just as important as growing it. Now let's move to an asset that offers both protection and income. Asset number 3, rental real estate. Rental real estate has created wealth for generations because it produces income while building equity. Every month, tenants help pay your mortgage. Meanwhile, the property itself may increase in value over time. That's two powerful wealth builders working together. During inflation, housing shortages often push rents higher, making quality rental properties even more valuable. Of course, location and cash flow matter. Not every property becomes a great investment, but a well-purchased rental property can generate steady monthly income for decades. Instead of depending entirely on your paycheck, you begin owning an asset that works for you every day. That's one of the biggest differences between earners and owners. Owners build wealth even while they're sleeping. And there's another asset that quietly pays investors without ever dealing with tenants. Asset number 4, high-quality dividend stocks. Imagine owning part of a business that pays you simply for remaining a shareholder. That's exactly what dividend stocks do. Many established companies have increased their dividend payments for decades through recessions, inflation, and market crashes. These businesses sell products people continue buying regardless of the economy. Healthcare, food, utilities, household essentials. As those companies earn profits, they reward shareholders with regular cash payments. Young investors often reinvest those dividends, allowing compound growth to accelerate. Retirees often use them as reliable passive income. Either way, the investment continues working. Dividend investing isn't exciting, but wealth rarely comes from excitement. It comes from consistency, and that's exactly why dividend-paying companies remain one of the strongest long-term assets after every economic downturn. Now, before we continue, notice something important. The first 4 assets all had one thing in common. They generate value whether you're working or not. That's the real goal of investing. Not chasing the next hot stock, but owning assets that continue working while you sleep. Asset number 5, broad market index funds. If you could own a small piece of America's biggest and most successful companies without trying to pick individual winners, would you? That's exactly what a broad market index fund allows you to do. Instead of betting on one company, you own hundreds of them. Some will struggle, some will fail, but others will become tomorrow's industry leaders. History has shown that despite recessions, wars, inflation, and financial crises, diversified markets have continued growing over the long term. That's why legendary investors recommend index funds for most people. They remove emotion from investing. Instead of trying to predict tomorrow's headlines, you're simply investing in long-term economic growth. The biggest mistake during a market crash is stopping your investments. Lower prices mean you're buying more shares for the same amount of money. When the recovery comes, and history says it always does, those extra shares become one of your greatest advantages. Sometimes, the simplest investment strategy is also the most powerful. Asset number 6, Treasury inflation-protected securities, TIPS. Making money is important. Keeping it is even more important. That's where Treasury inflation-protected securities, or TIPS, come in. Unlike ordinary bonds, TIPS automatically adjust with inflation. As prices rise, so does the value of your investment. They're backed by the U.S. government, making them one of the safest investments available. No, they won't double your money overnight. That's not their purpose. Their job is stability. Think of them as the foundation beneath your portfolio. When markets become unpredictable, Stable assets help you stay invested instead of making emotional decisions. Great investors don't just chase returns. They also protect themselves from unnecessary risk. Because surviving difficult markets is what allows you to benefit from the recovery. Asset number 7, cash reserves. Most people think cash is a poor investment. And they're right. Cash isn't designed to create wealth. It's designed to create opportunity. During every major financial crisis, the people with available cash had one enormous advantage. They could buy, while others were forced to sell homes, stocks, or businesses. Prepared investors stepped in at discounted prices. That's exactly how many fortunes are built. Cash gives you options. It allows you to stay calm during emergencies. It prevents you from selling quality investments at the worst possible time. Warren Buffett has often described cash as financial ammunition. Not because he wants to hold it forever, but because he knows opportunities always appear during periods of fear. The next economic downturn will create bargains. The only question is whether you'll be ready when they arrive. Asset number 8, a small business. One of the fastest ways to build wealth is to own something instead of simply working for someone else. That doesn't mean starting the next billion-dollar company. Even a small business can become a powerful asset. A consulting service, an online store, a bookkeeping business, a local cleaning company, a digital product. Today's technology has made starting a business easier than ever. Artificial intelligence can now automate tasks that once required entire teams. That means lower costs and bigger opportunities. A successful business creates something your paycheck never can. Ownership. It can generate income, grow in value, and eventually become something you can sell. Many self-made millionaires didn't become wealthy because they earned huge salaries. They became wealthy because they owned businesses. The goal isn't to work more hours. The goal is to build something that continues creating value long after today's work is finished. Now I want you to notice something. None of the 8 assets we've covered depend on predicting the next recession. They don't require perfect timing. They don't require luck. They simply become more valuable because they solve real problems. The next 4 assets follow the same principle. They aren't flashy, but history shows they've quietly built enormous wealth for patient investors. Asset number 9, energy and utility investments. No matter what happens to the economy, people still need electricity. They still heat their homes. They still charge their phones. And businesses still need power to operate. That's why utility companies have remained some of the most reliable businesses for decades. Many of them pay consistent dividends while providing services people can't live without. As artificial intelligence, electric vehicles, and data centers continue expanding, global electricity demand is expected to keep rising. The companies supplying that infrastructure could benefit for years. You don't need the newest technology. Sometimes it's smarter to own the businesses that power the technology. When uncertainty rises, essential services rarely disappear. And that's exactly what makes them valuable. Asset number 10, water assets. There is one resource more valuable than oil. Water. Every home, every farm, every factory, and every hospital depends on it. Yet clean, usable water is becoming increasingly scarce in many parts of the world. That creates opportunity. Investors can gain exposure through water utility companies, treatment facilities, filtration technology, and infrastructure businesses. These companies don't usually make headlines, but they solve one of humanity's biggest long-term challenges. Population growth and climate pressures continue increasing demand. The world's wealthiest investors often focus on assets tied to basic human needs. Water sits at the top of that list. Because while markets change, people never stop needing clean water. Asset number 11, intellectual property. Imagine creating something once. and earning money from it for years. That's the power of intellectual property. Books, online courses, software, photography, music, digital products. These assets don't require warehouses or large inventories. Once they're created, they can continue generating income with very little additional effort. The internet has made this easier than ever before. A course recorded today, or a book written this year, could still be producing income 10 years from now. Instead of selling your time over and over again, you're creating something that continues working long after the original effort is finished. That's how many modern entrepreneurs build wealth. They own ideas, not just income. Asset number 12, your skills. The highest return investment isn't always found in the stock market. Sometimes it's found in yourself. Technology is changing faster than ever. Artificial intelligence is transforming entire industries. The people who continue learning will continue creating opportunities. Learning sales, negotiation, leadership, financial literacy, or AI-related skills can dramatically increase your earning power. Unlike money, your knowledge can't be inflated away. Nobody can steal it, and nobody can take it during a recession. Every new skill increases your ability to earn, adapt, and create value. That's why successful investors never stop learning. Because your greatest asset isn't your portfolio. It's your ability to make better decisions than you made yesterday. Asset number 13, businesses that solve basic human needs. Every economic collapse changes how people spend their money. Luxury purchases slow down. Expensive vacations are postponed. New cars can wait. But some things never stop. People still buy groceries. They still visit doctors. They still need electricity, clean water, medicine, and internet access. That's why businesses providing essential services have historically remained some of the strongest performers during difficult economic periods. The lesson is simple. Don't just invest in companies people want. Invest in companies people need. Necessity creates resilience, and resilient businesses often become the foundation of long-term wealth. Asset number 14, multiple income streams. One paycheck is no longer enough security. If your only source of income disappears, your financial plan disappears with it. That's why wealthy people rarely depend on just one stream of income. They build several. Maybe it's dividend income, rental income, a small online business, royalties, or freelance consulting. Each stream makes the others stronger. Economic uncertainty becomes much less frightening when money continues arriving from different directions. Financial freedom isn't about earning more. It's about depending less on any single source. Asset number 15, your time and financial knowledge. Now we've reached the most valuable asset on this list. And surprisingly, you can't buy it. Every successful investor studies before investing. They read, they learned, they improve their decision-making. Because every dollar you invest follows one thing first.
Breaking news.
You're thinking, if your knowledge improves, your decisions improve. And better decisions compound for decades. Markets change. Technology changes. Governments change. But financial education continues paying dividends for the rest of your life. The greatest investment isn't inside your portfolio. It's inside your mind. Why most people will miss this opportunity? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people already know they should invest. So why don't they? Because fear is louder than logic. When markets fall, people stop buying. When prices drop, they wait.
Look, if we cut the
When
dividend
opportunities
here,
appear,
We can put an extra
they
300
hesitate.
into the Roth this month.
The media focuses on panic because panic attracts attention. But history tells a different story. The greatest fortunes are rarely built during periods of confidence. They're built when quality assets become temporarily unpopular. Economic collapses reward preparation, not prediction. The investors who stay calm usually benefit the most once recovery begins. Simple action plan. So where should you start? First, list every asset you currently own. Then list every liability. Knowing where you stand is the first step toward improving it. Second, build an emergency fund so unexpected expenses never force you to sell investments. Third, begin buying productive assets consistently. Don't wait for the perfect moment. The perfect moment almost never arrives. Fourth, continue learning. Read books. Study investing. Improve your financial skills every year. Small improvements today become enormous advantages over time. Momentum matters far more than perfection. Conclusion: every generation believes its economic challenges are unique. Yet history tells the same story again and again. Markets recover. Businesses rebuild. Innovation continues. And patient investors are rewarded. The next economic collapse will create fear, but it will also create opportunity. The people who benefit won't necessarily be the richest. They'll be the ones who prepared before everyone else. Remember, income pays today's bills. Assets build tomorrow's freedom. So don't spend the next 5 years simply working for money. Spend them building assets that will work for you. Because when the next recovery begins, it won't matter how many hours you worked. It will matter what you owned. If you found value in this video, subscribe for more practical investing insights designed to help you build long-term wealth. And remember, the greatest fortunes aren't built when everything feels safe. They're built by people who stay patient while everyone else is waiting.